Hey, welcome to DigiLEAD TV. My name is Ken Walls. I'm the founder and CEO of Client Solution Innovations. Very grateful to be on Grant Cardone TV. I'm very happy to have you here watching our first episode. Listen, we're amateurs at this. This is my very first time. I'm actually pretty nervous about this. So, I want to start out telling you who I am, who the company is, who we are. Client Solution Innovations is a company. We go by CSI. A lot of people know us by CSI. Back in 2002, my life took an interesting turn, and I decided I needed to move my life in a much better direction, and so I made some significant changes in my life, and what I did was a buddy of mine was helping me out, let me crash at his place, and his wife, who's a realtor, she needed help with a website situation where she was being held hostage by some other website developers, and so she asked me to, or he asked me to help her, and so I did. And what was weird to me about it was that she actually paid me money, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that somebody's actually offering to pay me money to help out on something I love to do. And I'd always messed around with computers, and I've always, I built my first website in 1994 in raw HTML code, so I've always been a bit of a computer geek. But so I helped her out, and then he's like, man, maybe there's other people. And so it accidentally became something I started freelancing back then. So fast forward about 5 years, and I had made a couple of other a couple of other things happened in my life, and I found myself starting over again in 2006, 2007, and I started doing websites again. A friend of mine who, again, I was at his house crashing there. This friend of mine says, dude, you need to do something. Like, you need to get a job. You need to get out of my house, go get your own house. I mean, it was one of those moments where, because I was moping around and feeling sorry for myself, and so it was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I got to do something with my life. I got to quit waiting on somebody else to save me. I gotta really start hustling and save myself. And I said, well, what am I gonna do? And he says, dude, you're really good at the marketing stuff and the website development and all of that. Get back into that, dude. Do it for real this time. Make a company. I'm like, I don't even know what I'd call the company. And we're sitting there and we're talking, and I'm like, well, and him and I would hang out and watch CSI Miami, the TV show, and I go, I got it. I know. Why don't we call it CSI? I'll call it CSI. He's like, crime scene investigators? And I'm like, no. Hold on, let me think. How about Client Solution Innovations? And boom, that was it. It was born in that moment. And so I had no money. That was the biggest challenge in my head, was I didn't have any money. I had nothing to bring, like nothing, $0, literally. And so back then I smoked cigarettes, and they were only $3 a pack. This buddy of mine says, here's 20 bucks, man, go get it started. I said, all right, man, all right. I was scared to death, probably far more terrified than I am right now looking at you guys. Okay, but so I took this 20 bucks, I went and bought a pack of cigarettes, I put like $10 gas in my car, and I drove around Columbus looking for a place to park the car and start knocking on doors. And I literally, that day, I went out and banged on doors until I finally ran into somebody that hired me to help them with their website. And it wasn't much money at all starting out. It wasn't much at all to help this guy, but it's where I got my start. The CSI started with literally just that moment of, you know, I have to do something. I have to, and it's, you know, in the back of my mind, it's like, well, I have to make a difference in the world. I have to make a really positive impact in the world. I have to really, truly help people. And, you know, and I have to pay my bills, right? Like I need to get paid. But you know, it's taken a long time. That was back in 2007. And it's taken quite a while for me to wrap my brain around how all of it works. And you know, I learn new stuff every day. So, you know, that's when it all came about. That's how it all came about. That's how Client Solution Innovations was born. And I'm very, very grateful for where we are as a company today with clients all over the world. An unbelievable team that works for me. You guys are going to get to meet my team in this segment. I'm going to try to have a couple of them pop in. Not everybody's here today, so you won't be able to meet everybody. But in future segments, you'll be able to meet everyone. I promise you that. So, you know, now here we are, what, 8 years later, 7, 8 years later, and we're actually a global leader in a lot of the stuff that we do. The search engine optimization, website development. We really do some, I mean, just unbelievable things. So, you know, I appreciate everybody coming on here and watching this. We've got some really, really great things that we're going to be talking about, not just in this episode, but in all of our future episodes. We are going to bring some really, really cool stuff to you guys. So I appreciate it. If I'm going to be doing a live Periscope here shortly and get some good questions to ask. Hey, listen, when we come back here in a second, I'm going to tell you how I met Grant Cardone. Hey, welcome back. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, how I got the company started back in 07, end of 07, beginning of 08, and I man, it was a struggle. I struggled and struggled and struggled. I would go out and I would go door to door and I would help people and I would, get appointments with people and I would sit down and I would talk to them and they're like, well, you only have one client or you only have 2 clients. And I know. And I'd have to just push my way through it and keep trying and keep hustling and keep going. And hang on a minute. Let me take this. Hey, Amber. Everybody meet Amber. Amber's my new assistant.
Hey, everybody.
Can everybody see Amber? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I would, I'd go out there and I would just hustle and I would work my butt off and I was doing all of the design, all of the programming. I was doing everything on my own. And it just felt like, I'm not kidding you when I say, like, almost every single day I thought about, like, giving up. Almost every day. I really did. I struggled and struggled and struggled and, couldn't pay rent, couldn't pay my bills, couldn't pay this, it was literally a nightmare. and I'd have big days and big weeks and but not ever really, really big, just average, So, I've been out there, I've fought the fight. I know that, most of you watching this, if you've got any dream inside of you, you've been through it all, you've fought through it all, you've worked your butt off, you've hustled, you've driven through all of that stuff that, like, where you're borrowing money just to feed your kids and you're, it was a struggle. And then a couple years later, I met my wife, and she was previously had been the global VP of marketing for big $500 million plus companies and all these big, like, blue blood C-level positions in corporate America. And she's way smarter than I am. I know that. I definitely married out of my league, and I get that. So, she'd never been an entrepreneur. She'd never really, she'd always been in a corporate job. She'd never really understood what it's like to just hustle. And so it took several years, actually. And we had a baby, and got married and all that stuff. And you know, it took many years for her to really get like really grab a hold of it and understand that, you know, if we're going to make this happen, there's nobody that's going to give us a $200,000, $300,000 a year salary just to go out and run a business. We want to make it. We have to work hard. We really, truly have to hustle. So, you know, we went years struggling, and it's still a fight. I grind every single day of my life, 7 days a week. You know, people say they go on vacations and take long weekends, and I don't do that. I never do that. I'm one of the only people in my company that doesn't draw a salary either. I get the scraps, and sometimes they're decent scraps, and sometimes they're bad, really bad, spoiled scraps. But you know, I fought through it all. I fought through all of it, and then it was about a year and a half ago that I you know met Grant Cardone. I was looking for a I got this Apple Watch thing's ringing on me right now. I thought I had it turned off. But I was looking for a sales, some kind of I was on YouTube looking for some kind of sales training I could give to a guy that I had hired to help him learn how to sell, be a salesperson. I came across Grant Cardone's training stuff, and I was like, wow, you know, I'd seen all the other people, the Brian Tracy's and the Zig Zig, all those people. I'd seen them for years and studied. I'd actually been a sales trainer in the home security industry, and you know, so I come across this guy's stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is like a lot of the same stuff, but there's a lot of originality and just passion and this humor that, you know, we all have come to know and love with Grant. And like, you know, so I get in and I'm like, wow, this guy's got it together. This is pretty awesome. So I fill out a form and they contact me. And a long story short, I ended up signing up for Cardone University, and I developed this relationship with a guy in his office, Todd Straw, that's now a really good friend of mine now. And he's the one that closed me. And man, I don't think I've ever been closed as hard as they're masters at it. It was unbelievable. So, you know, I got going with Grant Cardone, with Cardone University, and man, it's all kind of evolved, and it keeps evolving, and it keeps going up the scale. I mean, it keeps going up and up and up, and so, excuse me, I actually had an opportunity. I kept saying, God, I need to get Grant's attention. And so it was about 4 or 5 months after I signed up for Cardone U, and Todd kept saying, dude, it's going to be hard to get his attention. It's really going to be tough. And, you know, I said, well, I can do it. Somehow I can do it. Well, I have another client that makes custom wine bottles, and it's a winery, and she'll take your own label and put it on the bottle. And so I had my graphic design guy make up a label with Grant, and I put them on a bottle, and I actually put my assistant on an airplane, and I flew her to Miami, put her up in a hotel on the beach to make it a little more appealing for her, and I said, hey, if you deliver these, it'll be great, and da-da-da-da. And Grant called me. Grant and Elena called me that morning. She met him in the lobby and waited on them and pounced on them and said, you know, hey, I'm Ken Wall sent me, and it was really, really cool. Grant and Elena called me, and man, you know, we've done some SEO work for Grant and for GrantCardone.com, and they've just become really, really good friends.